guess we got lights happening here. Is there a light show I didn't know about? Okay. All right. Now, I want you to think about, you just heard all those words, and the words that we said out loud remind me of a list that I've read somewhere else. Does anybody see a similarity between the list of things we just spoke out and another list that might be in a book that we all have? Huh? Yeah, yeah. What's the list I'm talking about? Oh, you're just getting blessed. Okay. What? Yeah. 1 Corinthians, yeah. 1 Corinthians, chapter 13. It's the love chapter. And all of the word. What's that? You're right. It's not the fruit of the Spirit, but the fruit of the Spirit kind of goes along with the love chapter, doesn't it? Yeah. So it could be Galatians. It could be the fruit of the Spirit. And here's the point. The interesting thing is we call that the love chapter, and we call the fruit of the Spirit the manifestations of God's love through us. So here's the thing. They call this reverse engineering, something that works. You're curious, why does that work? You tear it apart to see how it works. And, we've been the recipients of leadership that works, and we tear it apart to see why it's working, and all of a sudden we realize, it's based. Good leadership, great leadership is based on a foundation of love, which sounds kind of soft sometimes. Unfortunately, our world has dumbed down love. It's turned it into a warm, fuzzy feeling or a sexual thing or whatever. We've made love to be all kinds of, when God talks about love, it's Jesus on a cross. It's God on a cross. Strong, passionate, servant, humble, all those things that we just talked about. So as we think about them, some of the words would be patience, and I heard this, selflessness or humility, honesty, kindness, forgiveness, respectfulness, commitment, again, fruits of the Spirit, or the love chapter, the definition of love. That's what a leader looks like. So here's what I want you to do. I'm gonna narrow it down to 8 qualities that are the characteristic of a healthy leader. Patience, selflessness, humility, honesty, kindness, forgiveness, respectfulness, and commitment. Sure. Integrity. Yeah. Which kind of fits under honesty. But you're right. Integrity means you're all together. So here's what I want you to do is remember we started by saying the foundation of good outcomes as a leader is who you are. And these characteristics we're talking about they define who we are. Are we honest or not? Are we selfless or not? So you want me to read them again? And we'll add integrous. Yeah. What's that? Transparency? Yeah, sure. Yeah. See, but here's what's interesting. What we're not, pay attention to what we're not saying as well. We're not saying, sometimes we have been given this definition of leadership. Well, they run over people. No, they don't. A leader who runs over people is not a. They may end up being the dictator of a country, but they are not a good leader. That just even they get stuff done. Yeah, but if they're killing people in the process, that is not a good leader. Good leaders don't have to destroy the people around them to get stuff done. So again, what we notice is the leaders we love being led by are people with these characteristics, not with this other list. Even though somebody might be able to lead a church or a company or a country by being a bad leader, they're gonna get some outcomes, but at the end of the day, those are gonna, when people's lives are destroyed, when people around them are hurt, when they themselves, their character is wanting, it's going to end up falling apart. It's a house of cards, So as leaders, we want to be healthy. We don't want to be inspired by, well, I saw so-and-so, they're my hero, they do this, therefore I'm going to do it. Man, if it's not coming out of a place of love, if it's not coming out of a place of integrity, integrous. So our list, okay, so I think transparency, we're adding a few here. But that's okay. So we've got 8 or 10. So we got patience, selflessness, humility, honesty, kindness, forgiveness, respectfulness, commitment, transparency, and integrity, integrous. Okay, so we got 10. We made up 10 right here that are also supported by the fruit of the Spirit and the love chapter, right? These are biblical things. So here's what I want you to do. Take those 10 things and think about yourself. How are you doing in those 10 areas? Now, just so you know in advance, I'm not going to ask you to raise a hand and say, how many of you are a 10 on honesty or something like that, Because here's the thing. This good leaders are going to take this seriously. And you're going to, however you want to do this, you can rate yourself and go, okay, my commitment could be better. Or, on the other hand, you may say, I feel really good about my honesty. I'm an honest person. So, I don't want you to just think of all the bad stuff about you. I want you to think about, so look at each one of those and maybe, however you want to do it, put a plus or a minus or a 1 to 10 or a 1 to 5. Pick your own thing and just take a minute, go through that list of 10 things that we've come up with, and ask the Holy Spirit. In fact, we're going to pause and pray right now and say, Holy Spirit, speak to us. This is important because it's out of this that everything else flows. And if you skip over this and go, well, that's warm and fuzzy, it's touchy-feely. We're going to get into the more pragmatic stuff in just a minute. But right now, man, we got to build the foundation. So we're going to take a minute and just pray the Lord will speak to us. So, Lord, I thank you for these leaders. I thank you for the ministries that they represent. I thank you for the lives that are being impacted and blessed and influenced by these leaders. Thank you for the ripples of their obedience that flow out into the lives of the people that they lead. And I ask in Jesus' name that you will just speak to all of us right now and help us just be honest about the things that have been cultivated well in our lives and the things that can use some attention. And just help us to be faithful right now about letting the spotlight of your Spirit focus on the inner sanctum of our heart and help us to see us like you see us and assess ourselves honestly and fairly in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so take a few minutes. look at the list and highlight the areas where you feel like you're doing well in, the areas where you're doing okay, and the areas where you can use I need some attention there, okay? So just take a minute and do that. I'll shut up again. And I want you to have some kind of indicator next to each one of those, because they're all important. I'll just read them again in case. Patience, selflessness, not selfishness, selflessness, humility, honesty, kindness, forgiveness, respectfulness, and commitment. And then we added transparency and integrity, which are good ads. Now here's the final piece of this. Now that you've kind of rated how you're doing, well, medium, poorly in each of those areas. Now go ahead and focus on the areas that need growth, that you've identified as need growth. Here's what I want you to do is next to those areas, or where, again, however you want to put it on your piece of paper or phone or whatever you're using, put down with each one of the areas where you feel like I need growth in, write down something you're going to do in the next 2 weeks to help improve your core person in that area. Doesn't mean you're going to go from a 0 to a 10, just you're going to take a step in the right direction in that area. Whatever it may be. What are you going to do to strengthen yourself in that area? To let God work in that area. And just to help, maybe, I hope I don't confuse, but I want to help you a little bit. Think about one way to get it clear in your brain what it is that you're shooting at is to think about the opposite. So what's the opposite of patience? Impatience, right? It's not rocket science. So, oh boy, I'm already convicted right now. When I'm driving, oh man, everybody else on the planet are idiots, you know. And I'm the right one. Glory to God. Whoops. Man, I am manifesting impatience like crazy. So, you know, so it's not too hard to go, yeah, I could use growth in that area. Kindness. What's the opposite of kindness? Disrespect or whatever, you know. And again, it's whew. I just was on an airplane last night, and boy, there's some people that it's really hard to be kind toward, you know? Yeah. And see, it's like when you're by yourself or when you're in a situation where nobody's looking, so to speak, except some strangers, it's easy to not be kind to people because people are going to be people, you know? Yeah. And then you got humility. The opposite of humility is pride. You know. So again, I stand convicted. I can grow in that area. Respectfulness. The opposite of respectfulness is disrespect. Disrespecting people. A lot of times that just means not listening to people. Disrespect. I disrespect you because I don't care what you think. I don't care about your life. And as a leader, that's so horrible to manifest that kind of an attitude towards the people around us. And then forgiveness. Whoo, unforgiveness. Oh, they did that, yeah. The city of brotherly love. The airport was voted the worst customer service. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. So this is, again, remember, we're talking basic stuff here. But man, just let the spotlight of the Spirit just speak to you. It's the other thing, it's easy to see how everybody else is falling short. It's harder to admit when we're falling short. But this is what leaders do. Leaders don't sugarcoat things. Honesty, boy, if we have time today, we're going to talk about compassionate candor. How often do we not tell people what we really think because we don't want to hurt, quote unquote, hurt their feelings? Maybe what we need to do is figure out a way to talk to people or share with people that gets the truth out there, but also doesn't hurt the person while sharing the truth. Compassionate candor. So honesty, yeah, I'm an honest person. Yeah, well, that's easier said than done, especially as a leader. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Okay, well, what that person is a drag on the team, and just letting them continue to hurt the team is not honest, and it's not healthy. See, this is why this stuff, as an honest person, you got to say, I got to figure out a way to help this person grow, because if I just leave them as they are, they're going to hurt people around them. Okay? Whew, this is big stuff. And then commitment, lack of commitment. It's not my problem. This morning when I got here, I'm trying to. This is the first time I've been able to come into the building. I came by here about a year ago, and nobody was allowed in here because of the nutty stuff that happened with the electricity and the water. And, I saw Pastor Danette get here, and, she's the CEO, the president. If anything, people should be scurrying around her trying to help her. And, she walked down the sidewalk. I'm like, where's she going? And there's a box sitting out there, just sitting on the sidewalk. And she picks up the box. And she starts walking back. And then she stopped, and there was like piece of styrofoam or something. She picked it up and put it in the box. And that's a great example of commitment. Instead of just going, it's somebody else's problem. It's the city's problem. It's on the sidewalk. We don't. No, she said, man. And she didn't go, somebody else do this. She did it herself. It's a good example of commitment. And then, integrity. Integrity, the opposite of integrity is when you're one thing here and you're something else over here, So you put on a little show for everybody when you come to church, But then you're being an idiot. You're being a person that nobody wants to be around the rest of the time. That's a lack of integrity right there. And that will destroy you as a leader. And then transparency, again, it's kind of, those are somewhat related. Opposite of transparency is hiding who you really are, Okay, so hopefully while I've been up here yammering, you've had a little bit of time to think about where does the Holy Spirit want me to take some steps as a person so that I can develop and form good habits which will lead to good outcomes as a leader, okay? Now, you don't have to share your deepest, darkest secrets, but does anybody want to just publicly say, okay, I need to grow in this area, and here's what I'm going to do in the next 2 weeks. Anybody want to share that? You don't have to. I'm not going to, volunteer anybody, but if you, yeah, okay, go. Patience, yeah. Oh, dear Lord. when you yes. Right. Yeah. 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 And that's such a great example because it seems very unrelated to being a good leader. But what we have to get to is the place where we realize how I treat this rude person in front of me will determine the kind of leader I'm going to be. And so there's a direct connection between those two things. And you're preaching my sermon because, like, every day we got to get up and say, Holy Spirit, I can't do this on my own. I don't have the ability to just show God's love towards people that are being rude to me, customer service people, especially because you're thinking you're getting paid to do this. Your job is to take care of me, not the other way around. It's easy to just cop an attitude. And man, I need the Holy Spirit to help me because when I cultivate the fruit of the Spirit in my life, it helps me to form those good daily habits, the long obedience in the right direction that leads me to the kind of results that I want to see in my life and the lives of those that I lead around me. So there's a direct connection. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know how to solve that. Is there Pastor Danette is asking for a mic that we can pass around, maybe a pass around mic. Okay, thank you. So Pastor Danette, what she's saying is, and what's your name? I'm sorry.
My name's Jonna.
Jonna? What Jonna's saying is that okay, now I forgot what Jonna was saying because I was going to say something else.
No, I was saying that we are accountable for what we do.
Yes.
So, for instance, I was in a hair store and a young lady was kind of rude, but then my response was rude too.
Yeah.
And then I had to come back and apologize to her because, one thing about the Holy Spirit, you will get convicted when you know you're wrong.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we could grieve it or we can straighten it. So, sometimes I take a deep breath and say, God, help me because we all human.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's all.
That's a great example. That's a great example because, again, we got to connect these two things together. That how she reacted. Okay, yep, oops. That person got under my skin. I let my humanity kind of flow out, and you can either continue going or go back and go, hey, I'm sorry about the way I treated you. I'm sorry about what I just said. Excuse me. I apologize. Oh, you don't have to do that. Yeah, I do. Because if I don't do this, it's going to affect it starts a chain reaction, and it ends up sabotaging your ability to lead. Your witness, yes. People are watching, yeah. I again, talking about my experience on the plane last night. This lady is getting on the plane. I'm sitting in my seat, ready to go, and I knew somebody was coming because I had the aisle seat, and there was somebody coming for the middle seat. Well, this woman was living like she was the only person on the planet. There's probably 150 people behind her wanting to get to their seats on the plane. She is just moseying along, and she's got, with all due respect, she was kind of a bag lady. She had like 1 million bags. You're only supposed to have 2 things. She's got like 40 things, and she gets to the seat, and everybody's waiting for her, and she's like, okay, it's like, and maybe it was the first time she's been on a plane. I don't know, but whatever. She just was taking her time, and you know, just, and she had this gentleman with her. I don't know what his relationship with her was. I couldn't figure out the way she was treating him. If he was her husband, I was surprised they were still together. If he was a helper, he was the most Jesus-y person I've ever seen in my life. He was just, because she was barking orders like, put this up there, do this, do that. And, you know, finally she sat down, and the rest of the people were like, thank God she's out of the way. She's sitting right next to me, and I'm thinking, oh, dear Lord, it's going to be a flight. Well, about halfway through the flight, she pulls out this book, and I realized it was a Bible study book. Oh, and she's filling in the blanks in this book. And I was just thinking, okay, if I wasn't a believer, that woman just completely blew her because she was okay. So, but the thing is, again, I don't know what her story is, and maybe I don't know. Now I'm thinking about, okay, could I have? I don't know. She's a stranger. I just didn't go there, you know, because I kind of wanted to say, ma'am, you are destroying the testimony. All right. Okay. Any other thoughts or comments? Yeah, here I've got the mic now. So,
I was going to talk about humility. I'm reminded what the Lord said, that He gives grace to the humble and He resists the proud.
Wow.
And what I've learned in my walk with the Lord, that the more humble I am, and the more humble I think to be, I feel His presence more.
Yeah.
But when I step into pride, I can't feel His presence. I can't understand. Like the other day, I went through something, you know, got a little angry with my wife. And, I mean, I was like super angry. And I was super angry, and then I become super prideful. And I could feel like the Lord wasn't talking to me. And the more prideful I got, it seemed like He was just fading away. But I thank God for those days, because in that pride, I learned that immediately when I humbled myself, He was right there. And I felt His presence. And so I just really wanted to say that my prayer is that I enjoy humbleness more than anything, because pride is being the first, you know, thing that I believe was the first sin, was pride.
Ooh, yeah.
From Lucifer. So I'm thinking like, Lord, don't let me be prideful.
Good.
Help me to be more humble. And I'll tell you a true story. I really felt the presence of God. It was like the Lord was really, really like talking to me. And He's like, immediately when you humbled yourself, your spirit was peaceful. But the moment that I was prideful, I was confused. I didn't even want to talk to nobody. I was just
and
like,
you know,
in such an arrogance.
Yes, and our culture kind of celebrates pride. I mean, literally, we put people on a pedestal who are, you know, haughty and proud and stuff like that. So, yeah, so it's countercultural when you act in humility. All right, let me have that. All right. Oh, you're going to help. Oh, you're going to be the microphone person. Okay. Okay. So what we're asking you to do again is, so, you know, Helena just. We now know that she's a very patient and kind person that puts up with this guy. You know. No. But anyway, so we're talking about the stuff where the Holy Spirit is speaking to us right now. We're going, I realize I need to get better in this. That's what we're talking about. So, yep.
If I had to be really transparent, I need help in every one of those areas.
Okay.
I really lost myself, and I didn't care about finding her anymore. And mainly the unforgiveness and just thinking what was going on around me, and how just being so prideful and never wanting to tell nobody what I'm really feeling. or what I'm really going through. You know, so I stopped talking to God. I stopped talking to friends, and I just stopped talking to people, period. So I really think that I need help in all of those areas again. So one of the things that I can probably do in the next 2 weeks is start talking to God again.
Good. Yeah. Amen. Thank you. Good. Beautiful. Yeah, that's powerful because, man, that will just sabotage you. You will just be unable to provide leadership. Okay? Anybody else before we move on? We're going to move on to more practical things. Yeah. All right. Okay, you're not allowed to point at other people unless yeah. All right. So she's coming to you. Okay.
I actually think I do pretty well in all the areas except for forgiveness. And I think it's because, like, I feel like I'm a really good person to people. And when they, like, cross the line in areas, like, it's like, okay, you done went too far, and I'm not going to be bothered with you anymore. I mean, you know, I believe in boundaries. And, you know, people who you love and who you support. And, you know, it's not just like somebody steps on my foot like I'm not.
Right.
I'm not talking to you anymore. But, you know, I'm talking about people that are close to you. And they do some things. And it's like, okay, you went too far. Have a great life. But to be, like, kinder to people. Because I do realize that, you know, in accepting people, the good things about people, you have to accept their flaws. Okay. And sometimes you may not be just dealing with the good. I think every person has a good amount of trauma that, you know, if you love them, it's also included in
it includes
loving that person.
So
being kinder and more patient, accepting, okay, this is a flaw of yours. And if I really love you, then I got to love you past this part too.
Yeah, we all have stuff that make us a porcupine. You know, it's like hard for others to hug us because we got these things sticking out of us, and we need to be patient. Okay. Thank you for being honest, and I hope that all of you will take this like as a serious exercise over the next couple of weeks and say, you know, understanding these things we're talking about are the foundation of everything. Remember, we started this conversation by who are the leaders we respect, and if you trace it back, they're the people who have honed and allowed the Holy Spirit to hone them in these different areas. Okay, so I want to give away another book, and here's how we're gonna go the opposite. So we were trying to find who was born closest, which I think was you, right? 6.3 miles, right? Okay, now we're going to figure out who was born the furthest away. Okay, it might be a little easier. So how many of you? I already asked how many of you were born in Philadelphia. Okay, raise your hand again. Okay, most of you. Okay, how many of you were not born in Philadelphia? Okay. Oh wow. Okay, just a few. All right. Where were you born? Virginia. Okay. Georgia. I think that's a little bit further. Okay. He got it. Okay. Anybody born further away than Georgia? Okay. All right. So, except for me, I guess I give the book to me. I was born in Longview, Washington. So, you want to give them that book. Congratulations. You got that book. By the way, this book is about, it's helping leaders of churches think about how they help their church thrive in the complexity of the 21st century culture. I don't know, some of you probably can tell by me that I have lived a while. My hair, the color of my hair, partially is because I had teenagers. But anyway, boy, the world that I grew up in, 40 years ago when I was a younger person, and the world now are very different. And ministry, back then it was, people, I don't know, there's just problems were a lot simpler. Now they're a lot more complicated. And so this book is designed to help us think about a way forward so that we can be faithful to Jesus, but also walk with the people of the 21st century in a way that helps them follow Jesus. So that's what that book is about. Okay, so I just want to be aware, we're at about 11 o'clock, and because of our time frame, I'm just going to keep going. If anybody needs to take a break, don't be embarrassed to get up, and if you need to go use the restroom, or you just can't stand sitting any longer and you need to get up and walk around, I will not be offended by that. I want to move to some practical tools, okay? Remembering your leadership is based on a foundation of love. I want to give you some very practical tools, and I think we're going to focus on two because of the time we have, So this is going to be quite a shift. We've been really digging deep on who we are. Now we want to talk about what we do. Okay, now we talk about what we do. And here's the thing. Leaders, healthy leaders, get other people involved in accomplishing the task, whatever that task may be. Healthy leaders get other people involved in accomplishing the task. Now, you say, okay, so yeah, I know that, but what I want to do is give you a tool to help you figure out what you need to do yourself and what you need to get other people to do. So this is a tool called the Eisenhower Matrix. All right? Sounds kind of, anybody know who Eisenhower was? He was a president way back. Actually, I think he was president when I was born, maybe, back in the 50s. But he was a guy, as president, I mean, I think the president's potentially one of the busiest person. I can't imagine being in that role and waking up in the middle of the night thinking about, oh, dear God, what's China going to do? Or, whatever, the stuff that the president has to think about and know about. And Eisenhower felt overwhelmed by the scale and scope of responsibilities that he had. And I would just like to say, as somebody who's never been in that kind of a seat, I feel overwhelmed sometimes by there's so much to get done and so little time to do it. And I realize I've got to prioritize the stuff in my life, or else it's going to run me instead of me running it. Okay? So I know everybody in this room is a busy person. It's just part of that's part of the challenge of the 21st century culture. With Pastor Dennett and I were just talking about this before, is how people are just so busy. And it seems like for some reason since COVID, it's gotten busier. I don't know why or how, but we just all have a lot to do. And sometimes what happens is all the to-dos end up just telling us what to do instead of us telling them what we're going to do. And so here's the Eisenhower Matrix. What I want you to do, again, take out a piece of paper. I don't know. This kind of needs to be a piece of paper exercise. But you can probably figure out a way to do it if you're using a phone or something. And just picture a line here and then a line here. So just an X, or not an X, but a cross, like a cross, except just, okay. So you've got two axes, I think they call it axes. Axes, is that a word? Or are we allowed to say that? Anyway, okay. So on what that ends up doing is you have 4 quadrants, okay? And on the upper left-hand quadrant, you want to say it's urgent and only I can do it. Urgent and only I can do it. That's in the upper left-hand quadrant. In the upper right-hand quadrant, it's not urgent and only I can do it. Okay? Now in the lower left-hand quadrant, it's urgent, but somebody else can do it. And then in the lower right-hand quadrant, it's not urgent, and somebody else can do it. Okay, do you have that clear? Is that clear to you? So upper right hand, urgent, only I can do it. Upper right hand, urgent, not urgent, only I can do it. Lower right hand corner, urgent, somebody else can do it. And in the lower right hand corner, not urgent, somebody else can do it. Okay, so let's go back to the upper right hand. Okay, yes, Dan. It's not urgent, and somebody else can do it. Yeah, so, okay. She can hear herself talking, so no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So another way to think about it is above, so you've got a horizontal line and a vertical line. Above the horizontal line is you've got to do it. Below the horizontal line is somebody else can do it. And then you have a vertical line. To the left of the vertical line is urgent, and to the right of the vertical line is not urgent. Okay? So it breaks it into those four things. Okay, everybody clear? Okay, so now I'm going to just give you the answer, and then we'll talk about it. In the upper left-hand quadrant, which is only you can do it, and it's urgent, just write the word do in that quadrant. Because if only you can do it and it's urgent, then you got to do it. Again, going back to last year when Pastor Danette and whoever else discovered that this place had been vandalized in a horrible way, there were a lot of things that only Pastor Danette could do at that moment. And so she just had to do them. And that meant, if she was planning to go have a leisurely breakfast at some pancake house or something, that she had to change her plans because only she could do it. All right. And then on the right-hand quadrant, just write the word decide. And I'll explain what that means in a minute. Decide, just put that in there. That's in the upper right-hand quadrant where it's only you can do it, but it's not urgent. Decide, okay? That'd be the right. Sorry. I'm translating. Okay. So this is the left. This is the right, and so the upper right is not urgent, and only you can do it. Huh? Am I? That you put decide next to that. Urgent, not urgent, only you can do it. Decide. Okay? Okay. Sorry. I know this is, and I'm translating backward. I have to do it backwards because I'm trying to reflect to you, so I'm trying to make sure you don't get confused. And then I'm confusing myself. So I'm violating one of those principles of good leaders right now because I'm confusing people. Anyway, lower left-hand quadrant is urgent, somebody else can do it. The word that goes there, anybody guess what the word goes there? Starts with a D. Delegate. Yeah. delegate. And then on the lower right, non-urgent, somebody else can do it. Guess what word goes there? It starts with a D. Delete. Okay. That's the Eisenhower matrix is what it's called, and here's what you do with that. And I'm going to give you, we'll start with 5 minutes. We may need longer, but I want you to write down all the stuff that's got to be done that you feel responsible for. It's under your responsibility. So everything on that Eisenhower matrix, ultimately, you're responsible for it. So just to give you an example, let's just say you're leading an adult Bible study, and you're leading it. So you're responsible for everything that happens. You're responsible for the donuts or whatever, the coffee and donuts. That you're responsible for studying, preparing. You're responsible for everything that has to do with that. Making sure there's a place for people to meet, making sure the communication goes out. And you start to think about just that one thing could have a lot of detailed responsibilities. And everybody that's a leader knows I'm responsible for all of that. Okay? So what I want you to do, and again, we could, this exercise, if you do it properly, it's going to take you probably an hour just to list all the stuff, because we're talking about all the stuff in your life. So you may be leading an adult Bible study, and you may be the parent of 2 kids, and you may be a employee at a company, or you may be a person who's got a leadership responsibility in the church besides the young adult thing. Maybe you have another hat you wear. You could make a pretty long list of all the stuff that needs to be taken care of. And so what I want you to do is just put the big stuff on there, like maybe adult Bible study, young adult Bible study, and parent, and this and that. But maybe underneath each one of those big things, put a few of the major responsibilities, okay? So what I want you to do is you want to do a to-do list. God bless you. God bless you. Do a to-do list. Think about all the stuff, like when you woke up this morning, here's all the stuff in front of me that I got to get done, that I'm responsible for. And that, you feel the weight of that, okay? So just write all that stuff down. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So it's going to be quiet for a while. And write it all down. Like, just, some of you are to-do list people. My wife is that. I am not. I don't write stuff down. So I'm not saying that you're better or worse if you do, but right now, I want you to, so if you're a to-do list person, you're like, yeah, I'm all over this. Some of you are like me, I don't do that. Well, you're doing it now. Because it's going to help you, it's going to help us, it's going to help me. I've been through this exercise. It's amazingly helpful. So just write all the stuff down. In a list, don't try to categorize it, just write it down. What are all the things that need to be done? Don't worry about anything but just getting those things written down. Just keep thinking of stuff, like all the stuff. Could be minor little details. My wife told me to buy eggs on the way home. Could be on your list. As well as, I need to prepare to preach a sermon tomorrow. Those are items on your list. I need to spend some time with my youngest child. That could be on your list. I have an employee that I have to have a tough conversation with about their contribution. That could be on your list. Tomorrow, we're going to celebrate 22 years. Actually, I guess we're celebrating right now. This is part of the celebration. But maybe specifically tomorrow, you've got something you're supposed to do tomorrow that you're responsible for. And write these down whether you feel like you've got it covered or not, especially if you don't feel like you got it covered. But even if you do feel like you have it covered, write it down. I'd say you want to have at least 20 things. So keep digging. If you don't have 20, keep thinking. Because we all have responsibilities. Yep. Into what? Well, try to break it down as much as you can. Well, keep going. Keep digging. Keep digging. Keep digging. It's okay. This is dig. Yes. I know your list could be hundreds. So just write as much as you can. Nobody's going to get this completely done today. What's that? No shortcuts, yeah. No, I mean, well, right now we are going to put a cap on it. In fact, I'll give you one more minute. Just write as much as you can. Write as much as you can down. I would sing a solo, but you don't want to hear me sing, so. Okay, 10 more seconds. All right, now we're gonna shift to another part of this exercise. Now you should have your list. How many of you have at least 20 things on your list? Okay, all right, okay, yeah, all right. What are some of the, if you don't mind sharing, you don't have, I'm not going to ask you to give us a whole list, but what are some things on your list? Okay, being a parent. A lot. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay. Cook, clean, teach. Doctor's appointments. Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. See, no, this is good. So you want to itemize all this stuff out there. Anybody else want to share what's on your list? Yeah. Pay bills. Keep track of the money, the balance. Yep. Yeah. Accounting. Household accounting responsibilities. Yes.
Oh, pay bills and keep track of the money that's in the account.
Yep.
And do a budget.
Okay.
So, yeah, things
yes.
like that.
Okay, good. Good. What about duties, responsibilities at this church? Anybody have that on your list? What would those be? Yeah. Okay. For the youth department, make Bible lessons for the younger youth. Is that a good summary? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good. Okay, yep. Oh, I don't know if we can, I'll just repeat what they're saying because you're going to be running around like a, You can't hear a thing. Okay. Well, this has got a good acoustics in a way. It's yeah. Okay. I'll repeat what you're saying. Prayer coverage for the prayer line. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Good. So this is good. That's real stuff, right? And you feel like I'm responsible for these things. Okay. Now, with the stuff on your list, you can already see where this is going. Take that stuff, hold each piece up, and ask yourself the question, is it urgent or non-urgent? And then, is it something only I can do, or is it something somebody else can do? Okay? So, take each one of the things that you've listed, and what you want to do is end up placing them in one of those 4 quadrants. You say, well, this is something that really only I can do, and it's urgent. So that means I got to do it. Put it there, okay, in the upper left-hand quadrant. You say, well, this is something only I can do, but it's not urgent. I don't have to do it today or within the next few days. It's got to be done, but I don't have to do it immediately. Put it in that upper right-hand quadrant. You say, well, this is something I'm responsible for, but really somebody else could do it. Now, I don't, again, you don't think about how it's actually, what's actually true right now. Maybe you actually have been thinking, well, only I can do this, but now you're realizing, well, somebody else really could do this. I don't need to do this. Somebody else could do this. So maybe there's stuff on your list that you've been thinking, only I can do, but really somebody else can do this. And then this is not urgent and somebody else can do it, put it there. Stuff on your list. Now what this is, if you take this exercise to its fullest extent, again, we're just kind of dipping our toe in the water right now, but I would urge you in the next, and this is something only you can do, and there's a little bit of urgency to it, because if you get this right, you're going to discover perhaps that there's some stuff you're doing that you just need to stop doing. Delete it. It's soaking up energy. It's soaking up time. It's soaking up focus. And you don't need to be doing it. So just delete it. And then there's some stuff that you're doing, but you realize, well, really, somebody else could do that. And that's the stuff you want to delegate. And here's the thing. Every effective leader is going to delegate. There's always too much stuff for you to actually do all of it. If you do all of it, you're going to blow a gasket. You're going to drive you and everybody else around you crazy. You got to start delegating. And that's a whole nother, like a seminar, how to delegate. But the simple thing about delegating is having a conversation with somebody and saying, this is a responsibility that I've been taking care of, but I believe you are qualified and able to do this, and I want to ask you to do this. And take responsibility for this, and make sure they understand what it is. But the point, it's just as simple. There's actually a little illustration that I heard to help think about delegating, and is you've got a monkey that you got to take care of, and you've got 10 monkeys, and they're driving you crazy, and you can't do all 10 of them. So you go to somebody else and say, I want you to take care of this monkey. It's a clear assignment. And you get them to accept responsibility for feeding and caring for and doing all the stuff you got to do to take care of monkeys or whatever it may be. You get that monkey off your back. But some of those monkeys you have to take care of. You do, and you know you do. But here's the thing. Most of us think we have to do more than we really do. And here's the other thing. Most of us end up spending way too much time in that upper left-hand quadrant, driven by all these demands on our time. When what we really need, our goal in life should be to spend more of our time in that upper right-hand quadrant. Yes. Yeah, you said left, and I'm like, wait, I think it's supposed to be right. But anyway, the upper right-hand quadrant where you're deciding. So what does that mean? Well, that's the planning quadrant. That's where you actually set aside time with your list and you think about, okay, what's coming up? What do I need to be planning for? What do I need? And you make decisions like, okay, I don't have time to do this right now today. It's my responsibility. Only I can do it. But I'm going to put on the calendar on next Thursday at 1 o'clock, I'm going to take an hour and do this, okay? And so you actually put it on the calendar. That's like writing a book. I had to actually put on the calendar. On Tuesday, I'm going to take 2 hours and write. And so when I looked at my calendar, and today it's Tuesday at 11 o'clock, what am I going to do? I'm going to write. And that's hard to do. I don't know if anybody's ever written a book, but man, but you got to do it. You got to, I needed to, in order for the book to get done, I had to do that. I had to decide in advance. I'm going to set aside this time, and it's on my calendar. And so somebody calls me up, hey, I want to have a meeting with you. And it's got to be at 11 o'clock on Tuesday. I'm sorry, I have an appointment. And you're like, well, that's a lie. No, it's not. You made an appointment with yourself and God to do whatever. Even if it's just, maybe that there's a retreat that needs to be planned for. And so you're going to take time on next Thursday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to spend an hour planning for that retreat. So it's covered. It's your responsibility, and only you can do it. But that's where you want to be spending your time. Do you need any help, ma'am? Yeah, that's okay. I don't know if there's a mouse down there or something like that. I'm just kidding. Everybody's like, just wanted to get your heart beat up a little bit. Okay, any questions at this point? And then we're going to move to compassionate candor in just a minute, which I think will be a helpful thing. But it's just a practical tool. Now, guess what? You can use this for you. And guess what? You can use it for people you're delegating to. And say, hey, I want you to use this tool to help you get all your stuff done. Okay? Any questions or clarification that you need to be able to say, okay, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to have people that I'm leading, I'm going to use this tool to help them. Any questions you need to be able to feel like you're ready to do that? Yep. Yeah. Hang on a second. We got the microphone is coming. Yeah. People have to hear you.
I'm saying I believe it's a good tool. Just having a balance over your life, because the last couple of years I've been using this big calendar, right? Yeah. And what I do is when I know that I have an appointment or anything that's, is important or something coming up, I write it on the calendar. Mm-hmm. So if something do come up, I'll be like, oh, I have an appointment that day or whatever, because you got to have a balance on everything today. Right. In your spiritual life, in your natural life, whatever you are doing. So I'm like you, pretty much like you. I don't write notes. I don't, I just have to make sure that because I have to do a lot of delegating and asking people and having good people to help you.
Yes.
So I understand in leadership,
Yeah.
even in my pastor's shoes, you know, I
Yeah.
would never want to be in them. But my life is similar like that,
Yeah.
but not like that, if that makes sense. But, you know, it works. I mean, I
Yeah.
took a lot of self-care out for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I had to put myself first.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's
Right,
not being,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
you have to do that sometimes
Right.
just to work on you. So it's a good tool.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, don't forget, again, going back to the airplane analogy, when they give you the instructions, they always say if the oxygen mask comes down and you're with a child, you put the oxygen mask on you first, and then you put it on the child, which seems selfish, but they say if you go unconscious, nobody's going to be able to put it on that child. So you've got to put it on, and that's how, sometimes you have to understand, I got to take care of me right now. And that becomes, you're the only person who can do it, and it may be urgent. And sometimes you just might need to say, I got to check out for a little bit. But on the other hand, again, here's what I want you to realize is if you spend a lot of your time in that upper left-hand quadrant of things that are not urgent but only you can do, what you end up is you lower the number of urgent stuff. Sometimes the reason we have so many urgent things happening is because we haven't thought in advance, you know. And so use this tool to help you. I do. I'm not a list person, but sometimes I stop and I think about, okay, man, I'm feeling overwhelmed by all the things I feel responsible for. I'm going to list them all out so I can see them, make sure nothing is getting overlooked, you know. And let me tell you one more story to illustrate the importance of good delegation. So I had a youth pastor that worked for me, actually a children's pastor, and he came to me at the beginning of the summer. He said, Pastor Steve, I've got this great idea for a ministry to the kids in the neighborhood. I said, what is that? And he says, well, every day we're going to have a day camp here at the church, and we're going to invite all the kids to come. And I was just thinking, oh, my goodness, this sounds like a lot of work, you know. And I said, okay, tell me how you're going to do this. And he said, well, I've recruited X number of adults that are going to come every day. And he had it all planned out. Okay, good, go for it. The problem was he didn't ask people to commit to, like, okay, so he knew that on a certain day they were going to have 20, and on another day they were going to have 30, and another day they're going to have 10. So he had to kind of have the maximum number of adults there every day to make sure he had enough adults no matter how many kids there were. So some days there were, 10 adults and 30 kids, which is a pretty good ratio. Other days he had 10 adults and 5 kids, which is kind of nuts. Well, one day he came in my office and he said, Pastor Steve, we got a problem. I said, what's that? And he says, well, today only one kid showed up. And I said, why is that a problem? He says, well, we lost the kid. And I said, okay, let me get this straight. How many adult leaders do you have here today? 10. And how many children did you have? 1. 10 adults, and you lost the one kid. How did that happen? Why? You tell me, why did it happen? Everybody thought somebody else. That was so he didn't delegate properly, He just assumed that because we had all these people. Now, the good story, just to alleviate your concern, we didn't end up serving a life sentence in jail for, somebody. The kid had crawled up under one of the pews and went to sleep. He was taking a nap, So we finally found him because we had 10 people looking for him desperately. But my point is, what the children's guy should have done is said to, somebody, you know what? Your job is to watch this kid. We're all going to be here, but if the kid gets lost, it's on you, okay? That's what good delegation does. People understand. We can't take that for granted. So when you give somebody responsibility for a responsibility, they need to understand what that means, Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Is that clear? Yeah. Because we can get a lot more done. Here's the thing. By being humble, this is a bad example of humility. Well, I just need to do everything because I'm just so awesome. You know what? You're putting a lid on what could get done. Yeah. There's a whole army of people that if you invite them into, like, okay, I'm responsible for this. I need somebody to pick up the donuts. You don't have to, and not, again, that's not demean. It needs to be done. So, but you know, if I do it, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. No, call, Sally Sue to go pick up the donuts and make sure she understands. We need 2 dozen donuts. Bring the receipt. We'll reimburse you for it. Give her the information she needs to do that task well. That's delegating, okay? That's something that's urgent, but somebody else can do it, okay? So just look at everything on your list and put it in the right category, okay? All right, are you guys, yeah, okay. And the cool thing is, it's not just for you, it's for the people you lead. Okay, final tool, and then we're going to call it a day. Has this been helpful so far? Okay, that's good. I've been praying for this for a long time. And just, Lord, help me know what in the world people need here. Okay, because, so let me just hang on a minute. I got to get to this place in my notes. And, man, there's so many things we could talk about. But I want to talk about crucial conversations. And let me just find that in my, there we go. Well, come on. There we go. Okay. So one of the things every leader has to do is have difficult conversations with people. Because it's just part of being a leader. And again, I'm going to give you another deal. Okay, so we got vertical line, horizontal line. Above the vertical line is care deeply or care personally. Okay? Underneath the vertical line is challenge directly. Challenge directly. And so care personally is above the line. I'm sorry, I said that incorrectly. Forgive me for that. I don't want to confuse you. So the above the line is care personally. Below the line, the horizontal line is don't care. You don't actually care for the person. Then you have the vertical line to the left of the personal line is, or the vertical line is avoid confrontation. And to the right of I'm trying to translate it back. Challenge directly. You got to challenge directly, and that's going to be to this side, to the right. Okay. So to the left. So draw a line, vertical line on this side of the line, on your right hand side of the line is challenge directly. On your left hand side of the line is avoid or challenge indirectly, because sometimes we do that. Okay, and then you draw the horizontal, and above the horizontal is you care personally for that person, and below the horizontal is you actually don't care about the person. You don't consider the person. They're just somebody to get stuff done. Okay? And so now in the upper right-hand quadrant, I think, wait, let me see. Yeah. So you care personally, but you don't confront. We call that ruinous empathy. Oh, you're just. Oh, let me give you a tangible example. Okay, so let's just say that 15 minutes ago I said, "Hey, everybody, I need to take a break and go use the restroom." And I came walking back in, and I forgot to zip up my fly. Ruinous empathy would be, oh, I feel so embarrassed for him. He's standing in front of everybody. His fly's down, but we don't say a word. We just leave the person in a position where if they knew, they would be embarrassed and they'd do something about it. Okay, so that's ruinous empathy. On the other side of the scale, challenge directly but don't care about the person, we call that obnoxious aggression. That would be, I come walking in and somebody goes, "Oh, look at him! Ha, 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 ha. You forgot to put his fly down. What an idiot." That's obnoxious aggression. Okay? The other one, the lower left hand, is manipulative insincerity. You see the problem, and you basically, so you don't care about the person, and you don't say anything. So on the one, the ruinous empathy, you say, "Oh, I just feel so bad for Steve," because he says, this one, you don't even care. You just don't say anything. You just think, "What an idiot. He didn't put his fly up." Okay, and but the one we want to live in is compassionate candor, where we go, okay, I love this person enough to say what they need to hear. Now, I know this is more complicated than the Matrix. So, is anybody totally confused right now? Okay. 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 So, okay, let's start with, again, 2 lines. Vertical line to your left is you don't say anything. You don't confront. To your right is you challenge them directly. You talk to them directly. Care personally, don't care. Avoid conflict. Yes, thank you. Okay, so so what's your name? Adaria. Okay. Adaria is. Why don't you explain it? Why don't you explain it?
Okay, so you kind of like make a, like, do you guys see it?
Thank you, Adaria. She's created this beautiful little chart right here. So the word is manipulative insincerity. Okay, so we have ruinous empathy, manipulative insincerity, obnoxious aggression. Those are all things we want to avoid. But I'll be honest with you, probably my weak spot is ruinous empathy. I care about the person, but I just don't have the guts to say anything. You may be the other, but then the one we want to do is compassionate candor. We care enough about people. I love you too much not to say something about this. Yeah.
But they get offended
and
don't, you know what I mean, and take it wrong, and then the next minute
That's why we don't say anything.
Right.
It's because we don't want to offend them.
Yeah, so how do you handle that?
So let me give you an example. Let me just give you some examples of compassionate candor. Okay. I had an employee that worked for me, and it was somebody that I inherited. I was placed in this role, or I was hired into this role, and this was a person I had not hired, and they had what my understanding of what this person's job was I needed this person to do this certain set of things and have this certain set of skills, okay, that they needed to be able to do. And it quickly became clear to me that this employee just didn't have that skill set. They were a wonderful person. I enjoyed the person. They were, they contributed well to the, everybody in the office loved this person, okay? But they were not doing the job that they were hired for. Anybody ever had that experience before? Yeah. So, but my job is to get things done, and I needed this person to do the job. And they're getting paid to do it. So, Runus, so let me go through what it looks like. So, obnoxious aggression would be, hey, you know what, in front of everybody, hey, you know what, you are doing a lousy job, and if you don't straighten up, I'm going to fire you. That's obnoxious aggression. It's true, and I'm confronting them directly, but boy, that is not, but there are people who do that, you know. Yeah, and some of us, you've had somebody do that to you, you know. You're a, whatever. Okay, the manipulative insincerity would be, oh, I love you, I appreciate you, I think you're wonderful. And then you turn around in a supervisor meeting, oh man, you know, so-and-so is just a terrible employee. So it's manipulative insincerity. That employee feels like, oh, my boss loves me. But the boss isn't telling you the truth. And the boss may love you, but they're not telling you the truth. Okay. And then Runus empathy is, oh, boy, you know, and this is publicly, I just think everything you're doing is great. I just love what you're doing. Well, that's a lie. That's not true. So how do you exercise compassionate candor? So in this particular employee, just to give you an example, this isn't the answer for everything, but in this particular situation, what I did was I said, here's the deal. First of all, I think you are a fantastic person. I think your fellow employees love you. You're great as far as your attitude and actions in the office. You're a great coworker with everybody else. Here's the situation. The person who has your job is going to need to be able to do these 10 things well. Boom, 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 boom. I want that person to be you because you've got a great personality, whatever. But right now, you're not fulfilling those responsibilities. So we need to work together to come up with a plan where either you are able to do those things that I need you to do, or I help you find a place where your gifts are going to be better suited. Okay? So that's true. I told her the truth. It wasn't an easy thing to say. It wasn't an easy thing for this person to hear. But what ended up happening was, together we worked and came up with a plan. Here's the skills. Here's the way that this employee was going to develop those skills. They needed to take some training courses, et cetera, and we were going to give it 3 months. And after 3 months, we were going to see if they were able to do it or not. About halfway through, the employee came to me and said, you know what? I've realized I don't want to do this. I don't think I can. I think there's a place I could be better served. And so I was able to help that person. I was able to call another supervisor and say, do you need somebody to do this or that? Yeah, okay, I got the perfect person for you. Okay, I was able to help them do that. So what absolutely kills our ability as leaders when we have people that we've delegated stuff to and they're not getting it done is for us to practice either ruinous empathy, manipulative insincerity, or obnoxious aggression that isn't helping anybody. What we've got to be able to do is speak the truth in love, which, isn't that's a biblical principle. Now, is it easy? Oh, no. This exercise, so again, you've got an exercise like, okay, I've got this situation. I need to have a conversation with the person. And what I want to avoid is one of these three areas. I do want to care for them personally. I do want them to know what they need to know so they can do what they're called to do. Okay. So, here we go. We got a question or comment? Go.
No question. I was just switching with her.
Oh, you're switching. Okay, thank you. Great. All right. We've got just a few minutes left. So, I know this is like I'm stretching you more than probably anything else the rest of the day, but we're almost done. So.
Experience all these things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Especially dealing with employees.
Yes.
When you try to demonstrate love, when you want to say the right thing, and some of the things I was hesitating of, don't want to say it.
Yeah.
Because people sometimes think that you need them, but I really, the job have to get done.
Yeah.
And when you use for the 3 months,
Yeah.
I did that as well. But guess what? That turned a whole nother way because people thinking,
oh yeah,
they turn.
Oh no, it doesn't.
But then when you do stuff and you share and you be doing it in love and you explaining, like I'm going to you saying, I can't use you at this point, but you could do something else. And people don't want to. They want to do what they want to do, right?
Right.
So I'm always trying to keep my mind of trying to do it in love because I'm accountable. Again, what I say, what I do to somebody.
Yeah.
So I don't want no one to feel no type of way. But then you have people that feel type of way and you trying to handle that because you saved, you in your church, you in the church together, you don't want to speak, you don't want to do this. And you wonder, like, what is going on with people? Where's the Jesus at?
So you're, yes, and you're talking about, so let me just, in the last few minutes, let's talk about, because there's a difference between having an employee and having a volunteer, which is what all of us are mostly working with volunteers, right? If we are serving in a church, most people aren't getting paid. Most people are doing it because they love Jesus, okay? So you can actually have the same conversation that I just had with a person, but you've got to remember, we have to remember, okay, the purpose of the church is to help people follow Jesus, to help people find and follow Jesus. And so the conversation would start with, man, we are on together. We are on this amazing mission. It's going back to what we started this conversation about the beginning with. We are serving the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Jesus is building his church, and we get to help. So first of all, you remind the person of the crucial task that we all share. And then you remind them. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes the reason they're not getting the job done is because you didn't delegate well. They don't know what you are asking them to do. You say to somebody, hey, I want you to do again, I'll just stuck on the young adult Bible study. Do a young adult Bible study. Well, to them, what they think you mean is there's going to be a room somewhere in this building, and every Sunday at 9 o'clock, you're going to show up in that room and you're going to teach the young adults what you want to teach. That's what they think you mean. What you actually mean is, I want you to host it in your home. You're responsible for getting everybody aware of it. You've got to clarify what you want them to do to help carry out the mission. And unless the person has some kind of toxic behavior that says, man, this person has some deep sin issues in their life, we start with the assumption this is a person who loves Jesus and wants to follow Jesus. So that's where we appeal to them as a follower of Christ and remind them this is the mission we're on. In order for this to be done well, this is what it's going to look like. And I want you to be successful. I want you to be the person doing this if it's the right thing for you. If it's not the right thing for you, I want to help you find where it is the right thing. So you see how that's showing compassion? Is you're not just saying, you stink, get out of my face, that's obnoxious aggression. Or you're not just saying, oh man, oh man, they are such an idiot, but I don't want to hurt their feelings. No, we have to have that conversation, okay? And remember, for volunteers, we go back to the crucial mission that we're all called to be involved in together. Okay, it is noon. I feel like this went by pretty fast. How about you guys? And man, I am just so, I want to reiterate, I think I said this earlier, but I want to say it again. You guys have an amazing pastor, an amazing leader. Oh my goodness. And congratulations on 22 years of and just what a testimony to God's goodness and greatness this whole story of Kingdom Life Christian Center is. Thank you for letting me be just along with you on this journey. I'm going to be here this weekend. I'm going to be here tomorrow, just as I'll be sitting in the back somewhere or something. I just want to be here. I told Pastor Danette, I just want to come and experience this church when it's gathered together. And so I'm just, if you see me tomorrow, say hi or whatever, we can. Oh, I've got one more book to give away. I'll do that, and then we'll call it a thing. Okay, so last question is, who went to the high school? Oh, no, that's going to be, there's too many of you probably went to the same high school. Okay, man, all right. Huh? Not true? There's lots of, you all went to different high schools? Even though most of you grew up in Philadelphia. Okay, so let's try. Okay, so who went to the high school that is closest to this building? According to Google Maps. Oh, what's that? Abraham Lincoln. Do you know how far away that is from here? Like walking distance? Okay, what do you guys think? Is Lincoln the closest one?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's closer than any other. That's what we're looking for. Okay, what's your name? Denise? Oh, wait a minute. Do we have...
Hold on, let me see. I'll tell you guys. No, Frankford High School. Somebody.
So Lincoln is the closest? Oh, Frank... Okay. All right. I'm going to go with Abraham Lincoln. He's a pretty good guy, I think.
They're both 1.4 miles.
They're both 1.4 miles?
They really are.
Okay, wait. So it's Abraham Lincoln and Franklin. Frankford. Okay. All right. So, all right. If we go with Abraham, that's the first letter in the alphabet. All right. Okay, I'm going to give it to you, and you decide who gets it. All right, I just delegated. Did you see that? You see how I did that? It was my responsibility, and I delegated it, and she did a fantastic job of carrying out that responsibility. Yes, amen. Okay, God bless everybody. Pastor Danette, come up here and wrap it up.